Welcome back. Today the whispers are turning into a loud chorus. Pressure on the tainted Chief Vigilance Commissioner P.J. Thomas to quit. That it was here on Times Now where the proof against Mr. Thomas was first broadcast. And it was on your channel that Mr. Thomas kept refusing to answer some very simple but some very direct questions.
Please tell us what was the meeting regarding, sir?
Nothing, I'm not speaking to the media. Thank you.
Sir, off the record, just for our
Nothing.
knowledge.
Hey, don't, please. Please, thank you very much. Please allow me to go ahead. Allow me to go.
The reaction to Times Now's direct questions, as we exposed how the man, supposed to be the upholder of honesty, himself was a part of a massive corruption scandal. These documents, piece by piece, put together the story of corruption. The first, a 1997 charge sheet accusing Thomas for criminal conspiracy. A telex from Kerala government bearing Thomas's signature, asking for direct palmolin import. A response to an RTI as recent as May this year revealing that the CVC is still inaccused. And finally, this man's role in the 2G scam as he questioned the CAG's review.
Despite the proof, the government chose to appoint P.J. Thomas as the CVC, overruling the opposition's concerns voiced through this letter sent by Sushma Swaraj on the 3rd of September.
Future controversies have to be avoided. The only way out is that the selection consisting by the committee consisting of the Prime Minister, the Home Minister and the Leader of the Opposition in the Lok Sabha should be unanimous.
I think he should have resigned the day before.
But those aren't the only concerns that were voiced. It wasn't difficult for us to expose the truth about P.J. Thomas. But as we did that, it became equally difficult for Thomas to avoid us.
So the Supreme Court today has raised questions about your appointment, sir, saying you're in an embarrassing position. What do you have to say about that, sir? Sir, they have raised questions how you can function if you're an accused. Sir, what do you have to say, sir, about the Supreme Court's comments?
Bureau Report, Times Now.
You can run but you can't hide. On the show tonight, Abhishek Singhvi, Rajya Sabha MP and spokesperson of the Congress. After a long time tonight, welcome back, sir. Nirmala Sitharaman of the BJP tonight, spokesperson. We have the very eminent N. Vittal, former Chief Vigilance Commissioner, Vijay Ramarao, former CBI Director, and of the Times of India Senior Editor Aarti Jaira. Thank you very much. First question to you, Dr. Singhvi. You as in the government may have bungled by appointing this man Thomas as the Chief Vigilance Commissioner. But you're bungling even more by allowing him to stay on despite all these observations of the Supreme Court. Why are you protecting him?
Arnab, I don't want to sound technical, but I have a big problem with the very frame of your program and question. And just give me a few seconds or minutes to explain that. First of all, I know the sub judice rule has perhaps been dead and buried as far as the media is concerned for a long time, but there is a direct case questioning the appointment of the CVC pending in the Supreme Court, and that's the Court of Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Let me ask you a question. Suppose you decide to give a verdict on this program that he should go, and in that petition, the petition is dismissed and the Supreme Court upholds his appointment. What will be the purpose? So the problem is that media wants instant results, instant verdicts. And that's the problem. I think it's not fair to comment on it. Let the Supreme Court decide. If the Supreme Court so opines, now and in the near future, certainly he will go. But if the Supreme Court upholds his appointment, then, well, I think we must hold our horses. But the second point is even more interesting, Arnab. Arnab, 1 minute. Arnab, the second point is more interesting. The so-called observations you're talking about are made in a totally different context, in a different bench, hearing a different case, altogether different case. In the context of the telecom bench hearing, an observation was made about his capacity to inquire. His appointment is in challenge under a different bench, and that matter is also coming in the near future. I think we should wait for that.
No.
Thirdly, and most importantly, observations in the course of a hearing in the Supreme Court, and mind you, the telecom hearing is going on for the last 1 week, 10 days, and will go on for another week. observations made during it, hundreds of questions are asked, comments made. Those are not the final judgment of the court. And I think it's unfair to treat it as a verdict. This case, of course, is not even about Thomas at all. It's a totally different case.
No, but that may be a different case. The observation is very clear. The CBI is functioning under the Chief Vigilance Commissioner. Today we have a new CBI director, Dr. Singhvi, who's been appointed. The greatest irony is the new CBI director who's been appointed by Thomas might go on in the future to investigate the role of Thomas as telecom secretary in the 2G scam.
Arnab, is it fair? Is it fair? And see, this is the problem with the sub judice matter. We are willy-nilly, like it or not, trying to prejudge the issue, the exact same issue the Supreme Court is deciding.
No,
but nevertheless, let me answer you. Is it fair to treat Thomas as a convict today? Is it fair to treat Thomas as guilty? There are issues. I mean, Thomas, for example, has had this case pending for decades, and he is entitled to say that his whole career cannot be kept in suspended animation like a Trishanku till that process decides itself.
Well, by that
there has been
argument,
nothing found till yet. There are allegations. So don't treat on the program as if you're talking of a dacoit or a criminal.
Certainly not. But we are talking about not just any person. We are talking about a person who's the Chief Vigilance Commissioner of India, accused of criminal conspiracy. I'll let Nirmala Sitharaman respond to you. I'm not getting into a debate with you tonight. It's a tempting proposition, but I will avoid it. I'll let Nirmala Sitharaman come into that issue, please. Go ahead, Ms. Sitharaman.
I'm here to very clearly underline the fact that while all of us respect the sub judice argument, here is a matter of national importance. Here is a matter of importance especially because we are talking of the Vigilance Commission, where however technically we may argue, we expect the person to be fairly of unimpeachable character. He should be well above board. He should be in a position to have the moral authority to question and direct further future investigations and suggest his note to CBI and to many other agencies. When considering that this is the position in whose place an appointment is being under discussion, the leader of opposition, and also let us not forget, the way in which the selection committee is constituted to choose the person who is going to be appointed on this chair is very important. The character of that selection committee itself tells you that the constitution expects a concurrence on this matter, a kind of consensus to be arrived on this matter, which includes the leader of the opposition. Here in this matter, other than the Prime Minister and the Home Minister, here in this case, specifically and repeatedly, the leader of the opposition, Srimati Sushma Swaraj, has said, sorry, you've got 3 names of which Mr. Thomas has these cases pending. Until it is cleared, it's not even worth considering his name, and put her note of dissent in a written form. And in spite of that, the government went about not caring for the dissent note which is being given by the leader of the opposition. Here, it is very important for us to understand. She even said, do you want to take 24 hours? Please go, verify the allegations that we are referring to. We are not laying the allegations in the name of Mr. Thomas, but these are charge-sheeted offences on which maybe the inquiry is still on. No, but the bottom line is his name. It may be inappropriate to appoint him there. And she very clearly objected to it, saying you take your 24 hours check-up and come back, or choose from the other 2 names.
Okay, Nirmala.
The government was obstinate. And they went about appointing him in spite of the leader of the opposition.
Nirmala Sitharaman.
Now, if the committee itself, just a minute, let me finish. If the committee itself is designed to have the view of the opposition, you may very well say the view of the opposition has been heard, we don't go by it, we are in a majority because we are Prime Minister and Home Minister together making 2:1 majority. But here is an appointment which is crucial and very important, especially in the context of so many scams coming one after the other. We've lost faith in the CBI. And at least if the CBC is not above board, what element of fairness is left for this country to expect any kind of fair investigation on anything inclusive of 2G?
Nirmala, I think you made your points exhaustively. And it is fair we give Dr. Singhvi a chance to respond. But before I go back to Dr. Singhvi, I think I'd like to know what in your view, Mr. Vittal, should the Congress party and the UPA do about Mr. Thomas now?
Now, as I say it, there is a legal dimension and there is a proprietary dimension to this issue you have raised. So far as the legal dimension is concerned, Dr. Singhvi has clarified that the whole thing is under sub judice, and if the matter is before the Supreme Court, we have to wait for the final order of the Supreme Court to say what should be done. But as the former CVC and the CVC who was selected after the December 1997 judgment of Justice Verma in the Vinit Narayan case, also known as the Hawala case, it was in that judgment that the directive was given by the Supreme Court, and which has been subsequently incorporated in the CVC Act, that the selection will be made by a committee consisting of the Prime Minister, the Home Minister and the Leader of the Opposition in the Lok Sabha. I do not remember the exact words, whether the committee is supposed to have unanimity or the consent of the Leader of the Opposition. I don't know I don't remember at this time what is the word used. As Nirmala Sitharaman indicated, she was talking from the point of view of overall propriety, that in matters like this, if there was a consensus or unanimity, there will be no controversy.
Sure.
But that point has to be verified. I don't exactly recall what is the word in the judgment or in the act. So it is this whole issue of clash between the propriety and the purely legal dimension which Dr. Singhvi has pointed out that has led to this present situation.
Well, Dr. Singhvi, does propriety not matter? Dr. Singhvi, does propriety not matter? Dr. Singhvi.
Arnab, let me answer. First of all, let me register that I am hearing very broken snatches because the line is extremely bad. Sometimes I hear broken. I am able to only guess partly.
You heard me.
But what I gather is, one, about Nirmala Sitharaman's statement, I must clarify and disabuse you of one impression. There is certainly no statutory section under which the CVC is appointed which is as clear as the BJP would like it to be, that it is a decision to be treated by consensus. That section is available. Absolutely, I deny that it is a section which requires or mandates that it be treated by consensus, which would mean that a refusal or a veto by one of the three members would make it non-appointable. That is not the language of the section. Indeed, if it were so, the court would strike it down immediately. Remember, that is important. Yes, in ideal situations, a consensus should emerge.
No, what happens is propriety.
1 minute. What happens when there is a problem? There is a problem, then only majority decision can work. And that was what was done. Just like Leader of the Opposition recorded a dissent, the other two persons recorded the decision.
Are you saying?
Now, I am on the second point.
No, Dr. Singhvi,
Yes.
Dr. Singhvi, 1 minute. Are you saying tomorrow, if a man is charge sheeted with murder, but if there is a majority decision that the man charge sheeted with murder can be Chief Vigilance Commissioner of India, or a man charge sheeted in any other scam 15 years back or 15 months back can be Chief Vigilance Commissioner of India, the government will force its point of view through, irrespective of what the Leader of the Opposition says? I mean, I'm on the point of propriety.
Arnav, 1 minute, I haven't even come to propriety. When you give examples, you have to give examples which are similar. If you think that I said that a person charged with murder can be appointed, well, I leave it to your viewers to judge if I give an example.
I am asking you.
Is the Thomas case for 1 minute? Let's not exaggerate and distort by example, because Thomas case is far removed from the completely inapplicable example you've given.
Sir,
now let's come to propriety.
He's accused of
propriety. 1 minute. Propriety. Let me complete. Yes, there is an allegation against him. In that allegation, for the last 15 odd years, nothing has been found. Now there is a certain system in our country which prolongs beyond reasonable time. Please apply. Suppose Mr. Thomas is innocent.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Okay. So
he has, now just consider, today you are actually treating him guilty as charged. One second. I am asking you, within a month, it is entirely possible that the Supreme Court may uphold his appointment. What will you do then?
No, it's not about upholding.
Let's not jump the gun.
My question to you is, are you saying,
propriety is subjective. Propriety is subjective. when propriety is mixed up with law,
No.
in this case it is overtaken
No,
and
this
superseded
kind
by
of
law
technical explanation.
because a petition has been
No,
filed.
this is the technical explanation. The man knowingly broke government rules, withheld facts about the palm oil deal, okayed illegal actions and is charged under criminal conspiracy. That's why propriety comes
I
in.
don't think
I want to get in Vijay Ramarao. Vijay Ramarao, what should the government do?
Arnav, let me
Former
just
CBI
clarify one
Director
or two
Vijay
things.
Ramarao. 1 minute, Nirmala. Let me get Vijay Ramarao in first, please. Yeah, go on, Mr. Rao.
Attributed some things which have not been saying.
Yeah.
I will come to you. Let me get Mr. Vijay Ramarao's point of view.
I
haven't even
need to
gone
correct
RT
that.
yet. Yeah, I'll let you respond. Yes.
Yeah, I would like to say that, when a person is charge sheeted, and more important is that his possible involvement in the scam, and he being the CVC, whether it would be embarrassing to the CBI to investigate into allegations against the Chief Vigilance Commissioner. Yes, it may be definitely an embarrassment with a person who is to oversee the functioning of the CBI. And now there are two issues. One relates to a case pending in the Supreme Court, as Mr. Singhvi has pointed out. Well, it may be the Supreme Court will find fault with the appointment, or they may also uphold the appointment. But that's not the issue. The issue is he has been involved in a couple of cases. Whether the cases are right or wrong is will be known only after the judgment of the trial court is received. But here you have a problem. Immediate problem is he is said to be involved in a case which is the 2G scam, and he is also a CVC, and the investigation is being done by the CBI. I think it is definitely an embarrassment to him.
Okay.
The question of propriety, I feel that a government cannot do anything in this unless they want to do. They can certainly advise him to maybe resign or retire or whatever, but it is entirely a decision up to him. It's a question of propriety, I feel. If he feels that there is something, I think he should not embarrass the CBI.
Well, he should not embarrass the CBI, but Aarti is also becoming a point of embarrassment. Nirmala, letting you come in, please. But Aarti, isn't he becoming a source point of embarrassment for the government?
Well, I think so or not. Abhishek Singhvi's point about it being, this whole thing being sub judice is very well taken. But I think that should not stop us from, sort of debating on the propriety of the appointment in the first place. And, one of the qualifications of somebody who heads the country's apex anti-corruption agency is that he should be of impeccable integrity. I think, in fact, that's a phrase used in Justice Verma's judgment. So, if we're talking about impeccable integrity, there is a CBI charge sheet against him, even if he's only mentioned in the conspiracy thing, and maybe that case has not been proved, it's been going on for 18 years and all that is there. But the fact is that you need somebody, it's like Caesar's wife, has to be above suspicion completely. Otherwise, how does he head the apex anti-corruption agency of the country? I think, that's really a matter of propriety, and I think the government should have thought about it, particularly after the leader of opposition pointed it out in a written note. I think the government would have done well to have considered some other names.
Okay, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, impeccable integrity, that's the argument also of impeccable integrity. Is, in your view or the government's view, Thomas a man of impeccable integrity? Dr. Singhvi, is Thomas a man of impeccable integrity in the government's view? Okay, I don't think he can hear us. Nirmala, you can make your point till I go across to him.
Arnav, I'll very quickly refer to the way in which Mr. Singhvi brought my argument forward to, build on it. I'm talking about the spirit in which the committee for selecting a CVC is referred to, and therefore it is important that whether you talk of consensus or not, if there is no consensus, at least the dissent should be on lesser virtues rather than talking about, the person's tainted background. Here, let us understand that if for 15 years the case has been dragging and nothing has been coming out of it, very well, I wish and pray Mr. Thomas's personal integrity is safe and the court would clear him. But that doesn't mean he's the only person for us to appoint. Hasn't the government got a list of people from whom they can pick up? Why only Mr. Thomas? Here it is not Mr. Thomas as an individual that we are talking about. It is important that the person who is going to be occupying the chair there is clear and devoid of any such blame. Now, more importantly, it is also important for the government to appear to understand the spirit with which this selection should happen. They cannot completely bypass and say we've got the majority and therefore we'll go. There is no written statutory provision that only consensus decision should be. Consensus. Let us not get into this. Consensus. It is important that the spirit is appreciated.
One second. Consensus or majority is not even the issue. The issue is this man is possibly going to be investigated in the 2G scam. One of the biggest ever scams in the country. The CAG report came out in a big way after his appointment. Should that not be a factor?
And even worse, he's already appointed the CBI director.
No, but the CAG report came up after his appointment.
Look at this chain of...
Right, okay, Mr. Rao, go on.
Arnab, the case that is under investigation right now is much more important than the controversy surrounding his appointment. When he is directly involved in this case, as pointed out by a Comptroller and Auditor General of India, and an investigating agency is going into it, I think it is, propriety demands
absolutely
that he should say. I feel so, because earlier there was no such supervision on CBI by the CVC.
Right.
Even now, I would say the CVC cannot influence the decision or investigation under the law of the CBI. Nevertheless, he has been given by Justice Verma's judgment powers, by also amendment to the Act, powers to oversee the functioning of the CBI in a way. Okay. Therefore, when the case is under investigation and he is involved in it, I think propriety demands he should go and government to advise him.
Now my question to Mr. Vittal is... My question to Mr. Vittal is...
And talk about the government which has appointed him.
Surely.
And that is where the blame lies.
Surely, I think the government has a lot to answer here. But Mr. Vittal, purely on ethics and propriety, you have argued this case. Now the 2G scam broke out in a big way after his appointment. Before his appointment, the question was about the Palmolive case. After his appointment, the 2G scam has broken up in a big way. But today we have a CBI director in whose appointment this same man Thomas has a part. Is that ethical? The same CBI director who will tomorrow potentially be investigating Thomas. Will the CBI director's hands not be held back if he knows I am investigating my own boss?
Certainly embarrassing.
It's effectively saying I am investigating my own boss.
And now, can I answer that?
Mr. Vittal, go on. Mr. Vittal, go on.
I know, actually, Vijay Rao referred to the role of the CVC so far as the CBI investigations are concerned. When I was CVC and when for the first time following the Verma judgment this practice was implemented, I used to call the director CBI and go every month, 1 month political leaders, 1 month bureaucrats, 1 month public sector enterprises executives, like that. I used to monitor the progress of the various investigation made and were required remind the concerned authorities for the sanction for prosecution, whatever is to be done. And now if it so happens that Mr. Thomas himself is going to be investigated in the 2G scam, and naturally CBI has to do it, if I was a CBC, I will feel very embarrassed. And I think that is what the Supreme Court in an earlier, maybe not the same case, one case, they said that in matters where the cases have to be pursued, there will be embarrassment. And if there is embarrassment, to that extent effectiveness will be affected.
Absolutely.
So, these are matters which have to be considered and decision has to be taken.
Okay, Aarti Jairath, what's your hunch? Last word here. You know, I don't understand how Mr. Thomas is being protected. You know, he's like a guillotine around the government's neck.
Completely, Arnab, look.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. You know, the Supreme Court will pass its order, you know, in its own wisdom after hearing the case. But I think, I think the CVC should really read the writing on the wall. And I mean, if I was in his place, you know, I would step down, you know, just for my own sake and for the sake of the government that appointed me. I mean, it just makes no sense for him to continue. I mean, there have been two separate cases in the Supreme Court. In both cases, I think the mind of the court was quite evident in the kind of, comments that were made. And, I mean, really, he should be aware of, what kind of signals are being sent out.
Absolutely. Well, this goes out to Mr. P.J. Thomas. If you're watching the program tonight, you hold the position of Chief Vigilance Commissioner in this great country of ours. I think it eventually becomes a matter of internal introspection for Mr. Thomas whether he wants to carry on given the current circumstances and the charges against him. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for that. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, I don't know whether he couldn't hear us or wanted not to hear us as the debate became more heated. But now let's take you to the big story, the expose I promised right on top of the news hour tonight. This is a Geo News exclusive, a secret video that gives a completely new spin to the Pakistan bookie scam. What we are about to show you is the secret video of bookie Mazhar Majid, in which he disclosed that 4 more Pakistani players by the names of Wahab Riaz, Kamran Akmal, Umar Akmal and Imrat Farhat were all involved in match fixing. Here's a clip of that video. Remember, this is a big revelation in cricket, and we'll get you a full debate on that on the other side.
Assalamualaikum. Yeah, beautiful place. Okay. Beautiful, isn't it? We couldn't find it. That's remote.